TVweb.com.
I've seen the last 4 episodes.
1, 2, 3. There have been 4. Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Or wait, is tonight the 4th one?
1, 2, 3. No, tonight's the 4th.
Tonight's the 4th one now.
5. Yeah, tonight's Sally in the Alley. Tonight's the 4th one.
What sort of thing are we going to see you doing tonight in the 4th episode?
Tonight and next week opens up the gang unit of the show. You know, that's Sean Hattasey and Kevin Alejandro and me and Michael McGrady. That you haven't seen a lot of us very much, but tonight and next week it really shows a lot about the gang unit. Because it's all, you know, Ben and Michael Cutlitz, they're sort of the beat cops, and then we're the gang unit, and Regina and Tom are the missing persons kind of. So we all start to blend like that, but the next 2 episodes focus a lot on the gang unit, which is great.
Yeah, because you weren't in the last episode.
I wasn't. None of us were in the last episode.
At all.
No,
Yeah.
Not at all. And the beginnings were such slow little like glimpses, but the next 2 and then the finale, the gang unit's not in the 6th episode either.
Well, because they've really set up a big storyline, though, for you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's the storyline that's going to continue for the next 2 nights.
Which one?
With the girl that, with the informer.
Actually, she goes away a little bit. She goes away a little bit. She comes back for the finale. That storyline comes back really big and is excellent in the finale. The next 2 focus a lot on our boss, who's played by Michael McGrady, loses his gun. That's not tonight, but that's next week. And we all band together, because that's really bad, obviously, when a cop loses his gun. And tonight's focuses on just a dead woman we find in an alley, and all of us sort of trying to figure out. You learn a lot about the character of Nate tonight, and a little bit about me, and sort of little hints to, I may not have it quite as together. I've pulled myself together from somewhere I was before. But we're going to learn a lot more about that next season, because they only made 7 episodes, and there's so many of us. That's what's interesting, and that's what's been a challenge for the writers, I think.
Now, with your nickname, Kenny Nogan, I almost called you Johnny Nogan, I'm sorry. Where did this nickname come from, and is this something we're going to learn more about in this next couple of episodes?
But you will next season. Not this season. Because it's funny, I talked to Ann who created the show, Biderman, who wrote Public Enemies, the Michael Mann movie coming out. She met a real cop who had his gun taken away from him. And everyone called him No Gun. And so she introduced me in the pilot. There was a thing in the pilot where I didn't have my gun, and one of the technical advisors was like, well, he won't be allowed out if he doesn't have a gun. So she had to be like, shoot, I have to get rid of that then, because you're out. We're already shooting this. You're out. We got to give you the gun. We'll talk in the 2nd season about sort of what happened to you in the past. I think there's reasons that Kenny had his gun taken away from him. And that's why I think he's sort of pulling himself together a little bit now.
Do you know what that storyline is, or can you not even talk about it?
No, she's hinted a little bit, but no, not a lot. Not a lot. I can't tell you the little bit she's told me about, but it hasn't been a lot.
No.
But I don't know exactly what it was.
What's interesting about the show for me is that it is shot on location in Los Angeles, and it's a lot like Dragnet, where they actually go to all of these real places, and everything is incredibly real in this. I'm wondering what that experience has been like for you, and did you get involved with some of the gang enforcement that is around the city?
Yeah, there's the Crips are extras. We have a deal with them where they're the extras. This is what's intense about the show. Is when I first started it, and I was working with some of the extras, and I thought, wait, these guys aren't actors. These aren't extras. I mean, they can't be. They're the best actors ever. It turns out they aren't extras. They're really, they are. They're background for us, but they're gang members. There's a lot. We work in areas. I've seen parts of LA, like Watts. There's the Watts Towers. I'd never seen those before, and we just shot tonight's episode. You'll see. We shot at the Watts Towers. It's amazing to shoot in parts of LA that I've never been in, and that are just unbelievably amazing and a little bit scary, to be honest. They're a little bit scary, some of it.
Well, the Crips are the extras. What about the gangs that are against them? I mean, what does that do to those guys as far as them being on a show and them going Hollywood, as they would say? And does it ever cause fear that these guys might drive by and do something weird?
Well, they all have deals. The different shows.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I learned that recently. There's been movies that come, and the Bloods get that movie, and then the Crips got us. It's sort of a give and take. It's really fascinating. It's been amazing. So, no, there's not a lot of fear of there's going to be, I haven't had that. Now I do. But no, I haven't had that. I've had more fear of just in the areas we shoot in. There was a shooting where we were filming about 3 weeks ago. Right there, 2 blocks from us at night. Because we shoot at night. Dude, we're down there. We're in it. And there's, the show is incredible because there's no sides. on the set, pages like that day. So actors come prepared. You can't have your sides to be like, what are my lines today? There's none of that. Like, you're on. It's really incredible the way it's done. I have to say, I'm having a complete blast, and it's utterly different than anything that's on television. Really.
Well, now, an interesting thing that just came up the other day tied into this was also, I live on Rampart,
totally, yeah.
or right off of Rampart down in Silver Lake, and I found out that a lot of the gangs that tag walls and stuff won't tag certain posters in TV show billboards because of their loyalty to that show, which I thought was really weird, and these guys didn't believe me, and I was like, because we were talking about Star Trek. Yeah, well, and I guess now that makes more sense if they're on that show and they're working for that show, that they're not going to run around tagging up posters. So you'll see Jason Segel with his eyes ripped out, but then right next to it you'll see a poster that's left alone.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know they did that. I'm sure that makes sense though, because maybe they're a bit like Star Trek. What were we going to say?
Yeah, that was Star Trek. We were talking about it at Star Trek, and they didn't touch the Star Trek posters, but they totally massacred the 17 again posters, and
I wonder if there's some Paramount, Paramount deal with.
Well, I have no idea. It's just weird, culture, because it's these guys are supposed to be tough gang members, and all of a sudden it's the Hollywood industry and the mindset sets in. And
I think they get a little bit maybe big-eyed at sort of the business as much as a lot of people would. I think they get into it. I mean, the guys we work with and we hang out with love it. I mean, they love the show because I think the show's really, I know people say this all the time, that it's different and it's real, but I really feel like ours is. It's definitely different. The only show that's similar in the way it's shot is Friday Night Lights. You'll see in our show that someone will be talking and the camera won't be on them. We don't do coverage. What coverage is sort of, where we'll do a far away shot, medium, close. We don't do that. We have 3 cameras going, so you always have to be on. Always. There's no I'm off camera right now, I'm just going to look at my iPhone. You always have to be on. It's really great.
It's a really sort of documentary feel almost to it.
Yeah, and there's shots of someone's hands while they're talking. It doesn't have to always be their face. It's really, Friday Night Lights is the only thing that feels similar in terms of the way it's shot.
Now, I want to know, Dragnet, I know Dragnet back in its day would go through the files and pull out real police stories, and is that what this is doing? Because that's what it feels like. Because the other night, I think it was either last week or the week before, I was watching the nightly news right after Southland, and the stories were so similar, it was just kind of bizarre to see that.
Last week was Tom Sizemore, so it must have...
No, it was the week before with the girl, I think, where they shot up the house and they shot somebody outside, and then they went to the news and the exact same thing was happening on the news, and it was almost like they knew. And
she does, and Wayne spent a lot of time with a lot of police detectives, a lot. And so a lot of these stories are based completely in real situations. All of them, I think. We've only done some. I think most of the stories I've heard about are not sort of oh, what if this happens? I think a lot of it's very real. Yeah.
Okay, and for the last question for Southland, can you talk about what we're going to see in the season finale for episode 7? Yes.
Without giving too much away, you're going to see the Janilla, who's the young girl, the informant, her storyline come to a head in a great way. You're going to, with all of us, with the gang unit, with her, you're going to see Thomas Howell's character, Dewey. That stuff's going to, everything you've been introduced to is going to sort of plateau, and there is a cliffhanger. That's the fun about it. It gets into people's personal lives, so there's definitely a little people's lives in jeopardy. I can say that.
And you guys have for sure been renewed for a second season?
We have not. We will know by the end of this week. We will know by Friday. NBC announces Monday. I knock on anything that resembles wood. That I think we will, because the show, people tend to like it, but it has not officially been picked up yet.
And one last thing, which is weird for me, is this really seems like the perfect show to take over ER's spot now that ER is gone at 10 o'clock, but we have this problem where Jay Leno's going to be there, so have they discussed that?
Well, I think it can be a 9 o'clock show. I do. I think at this point it can be 9 o'clock. And I've heard rumors, this is all rumors, being paired with Law & Order, which I think those two go pretty well, SVU. I think those two go pretty well together. But then one of them's at 8, and both those shows are not 8 o'clock shows. So. And
what night is that? I'm not
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
The problem is Wednesday at 9 is I think is a death knell. It's Lost, and it's American Idol and Criminal Minds. I mean, it's a really tough night. So we'll see. I mean, we'll know by Monday definitively. So.